And although this just, this is starting, this isn't full-on slave labour, people might think I'm fear-mongering, but everything comes in steps. Agendas are slow to reveal themselves, but they always come out over time. Forced community work, prison slavery, all for what? To prop up the failing economy. We're now trillions in debt, and no matter how you spin it or look at it, to me it's illogical and mathematically impossible to pay it back. The system has failed. It was set up to fail. But instead of going back to the drawing board and coming up with something better, like, I don't know, printing debt-free money, which is entirely possible, instead of being an intelligent, progressive society, the government is making massive cuts, selling everything off to private companies, and they're beginning to introduce these policies that could quite easily turn into mini forms of slave labour. And if you think Cameron's big society is about giving power to the people, think again. It's about power to the corporations and charities and cliques of people. Community leaders, all these common purpose phrases that were churned out over the last few years. It's not power to the people, because each community will have a community leader, and charities will decide to do things. What happens if the charity just so happens to have a political ideology and you give them all this money? So if you want to read up on slave labour instead of me rambling on, I'll paste you this article into the chat room. I wrote it a few weeks ago now. Slave labour coming to UK prisons. Yeah, somebody says run by Serco. Research that private company if you don't know. But there's the article for slave labour in UK prisons. I did also read something about the NHS, people talking about selling off the NHS. I know the NHS as it stands isn't great, and we have ration healthcare, and in some ways it's probably better to be private, but it's just another thing that we're losing. I mean, what do we want? Do we want Big Brother, or do we want big corporation? There's not really any difference to the average person. And quite frankly, it's probably the corporations and the bankers that have been controlling the government anyway. Now they're just coming out into the open. And that's what interested me about that recent documentary, was it last night or the night before, about the economy in Britain. It was a great documentary for mainstream TV. I was like, wow, this is really good. But no talk about the Bank of England, no talk about how money's really printed and that is printed as debt, no talk about fractional reserve banking. It only goes so far, and then it basically says Cameron's big society is great, give everything to corporations, China's wonderful. There you go. Yeah, China's wonderful, they practically own America now. What's this article? North Korean plan attack G20, submit biochemical filled balloons? What on earth? Let me check that out. A bizarre plot by North Korea to attack the G20 summit using balloons filled with biological or chemical weapons emerged last night. It's the Daily Mail. I'll take more of a look at that later on. But yeah, the funny thing, we have Obama and Cameron going to China, giving these condescending speeches to all these Chinese students. No, Cameron, Obama, our economy's failed. China is kicking ass. And if we ever got in a war with China, look at their population. They would absolutely dominate us. And that's partly why the New World Order plan is to take over the Middle East. It's about gradually getting a pincer around countries like Russia and China, and to be strategically placed, because they're kind of independent of, well, some might say they are still in on the New World Order or whatever. I don't really know either way, but as it's presented to the public and as it's obvious, they're not, but maybe they are through secret societies and all that. But you get my point. And here's another article written by David Bowell. I hope I said his name right. He's been working for the site for a while. Cut all you want, we're bankrupt. But that about wraps it up this week. Be sure to check out Lee Woodberg's show tomorrow. Also tomorrow I'll be on the Tony Legend show on Manchester Radio Online. I believe he has Brian Garish on as well, so that should be good. Then on Monday we have the debut of Travis's show, The Full Spectrum. And I'll be back on the Tuesday. So hope everyone enjoyed the show, and I guess I'll catch you next time.